We met at the age of 6 years old. Should we tell the real story?
No. Yes. Yeah, you know, for this, yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Well, the truth is that I was Danny's bully in elementary school.
Well, it was not for all of elementary school. It was first and second grade. That's how we actually met. We're going to tell you the honest answer is that first and second grade, he relentlessly would make fun of me, and I'd come to school and he'd take my, you know, it's typical kid stuff, take my lunch money and whatnot. And then
it was because he wore glasses.
Yeah, and you had me, because Darren didn't start wearing glasses until like he developed a short-sightedness.
Karmic revenge.
True, you're right. I mean, I learned the hard lesson of comma.
Comma? Comma.
Commas, yeah. Commas are, it's funny because you said karma with an English accent, and then I ended up saying comma, which is sort of karma with an English accent. Anyway, I learned that lesson the hard way, and I ended up stuck with this guy whom I despised and made fun of, because I was then relegated to 4I myself.
Yeah, and then in fourth grade we were forced to do a project on Missouri. We're from Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri. Missouri jails. We had to do a big retrospective on the Missouri penal system, and that's really when that exploration of incarceration led to our longtime friendship.
And we feel that incarceration is a theme of our friendship.
Yes.
I think that it...
because I feel often trapped when I'm with Darren. I feel very limited.
Metaphorically, and I am often literally trapped because sometimes Danny is apt to use bondage in our writing partnership.
Humboldt County, well, let's see, how did it happen? So,
we stole the script from... Which one was Humboldt County? Was that the...
Well, all right, well, look, seriously, is that Darren has been going to Humboldt County since he was a young person.
7. The year after I met you, started making fun of you.
And his uncle was a UCLA physics professor who had a midlife crisis in 1980 and moved into the middle of the woods to grow pot with his wife. And for some,
my uncle's wife, not my wife.
Yeah.
Felt like that was a confusion.
No, it was not a
It was ambiguous.
Unspecific metaphor.
And they lived off the grid in the middle of the woods, without electricity, without running water. That's not true. They had running water that actually came from a natural spring that he was somehow... I'm mixing people up here now. My uncle actually passed away, and my aunt remarried a guy, and anyways, insignificant. He was able to use a natural spring and the power of that natural spring would give them a little bit of electricity, and he also like rigged it so that they could have water. And I was always boggled by this because, you know, as a Jew, my hands are not able to
lift things
or assemble things unless there are very specific instructions, and even then I usually make a mistake somewhere along the way. So anyway, my parents thought that it would, I don't know, be good, or it would be good for them to send me to visit my aunt and my now uncle in the summers, to visit Humboldt County and spend time among these families. And I did have an amazing time, but I also had experiences at 13 years old of being in a room full of these pot growers.
And actually, I'm going to say something I'm not sure if I've ever told you before, which is that, do you remember Robin Gold?
Yes.
So Darren had this thing with this girl when we were in high school named Robin Gold.
Let's change her name. Let's call her Robin Old.
Yeah, Robin Old. And I remember when you went to Humboldt first time, we were like 15, and you'd come back, and Robin...
That wasn't the first time.
I don't... Look, specific time.
I mean, I think details.
I'm trying to get
We've been 100% accurate to this point, so I think we ought to maintain...
Oh, yeah, no, that's fair.
We ought to maintain...
All right, so Robin... I forgot what the scenario was. I was at a party or something, and Robin was there, and she was like, you know, Darren smoked pot. This is what she told me. I don't know if you actually had. I don't know if maybe I told you this before.
I don't know.
You know, as a pretentious young person... I was
Which
like,
you still are.
And I literally told her, I was like, I have less respect for Darren.
Really?
Yeah, I did that. I said that to her. I said, I have less respect for Darren now that he's willing to engage in that kind of illegal activity.
I mean, considering your own proclivity for hard drugs now, I think that's a pretty astounding statement.
Well, you know, you grow as a person through life.
Indeed.
So.
That's growth.
Yeah, that's growth.
When I was 13, they all thought it would be funny if they hotboxed the little 13-year-old. So I was
should we explain what hotboxing is to you?
I don't think we need to.
Okay,
but do anyway, because some of our readers might be in
I wasn't in a car, so I guess or even that small of a space, so I guess it wasn't technically a hotbox, but it was like a living room, and there were like 7 people all smoking. And they literally blew smoke in my face. Maybe maybe I should go into therapy. That might be a source of a lot of problems.
I've been saying that for years.
And so I think I probably got high, although I don't know. But
this is the development of this story is incredibly slow.
Yeah, and it's not all that interesting.
No,
I'm
really
trying to
isn't.
think about where to take it.
In fact, it's very appropriate to pot smoking, really,
Yes.
in that way.
Endless, meandering.
Endless meandering.
There, by the way, it's not, just so you know, it's not going anywhere interesting. There's no like thesis or like there's no like this. I don't have a wrap up moment that we're coming to.
Wonderful.
I just thought of something actually. I did just think of something. When I was in that first time that I was there when I was 13, I was actually at one of the neighbors' house, and this is the first time that I thought that Humboldt County would be some place that I would have to tell a story about. I think I didn't consider making films at that point, but maybe I thought I'd have to write about it at some point. We're at this neighbor's house. It's like August, which is nearing the end of the growing season, and it's the time when the feds could potentially come.
Oh yeah, we put this in the movie.
This ends up in the movie. And I'm sitting around the table, and the father of this kid that I'm hanging with and my aunt, the father is out in the fields. And I hear nothing. But the mother is also there, and she reacts to something.
Your aunt?
No, she did also, but I mean the mother of this family. Anyway, people start reacting like there's something going on, and they are freaking out. They don't say anything yet. I'm confused. I don't know what's happening. And they open the door, and I hear the father of this family yell, "Run!" And I'm just like, what the fuck? And at that point, I start to slowly hear this like flap of a helicopter. My aunt grabs my shoulder, yanks me out the door. We run to the truck. I see the guy running down the hill, top speed. Everybody gets in the truck. Zooms away at top speed on these like winding gravel roads. Finally, we're like 5 minutes out, and I'm able to ask what was going on. I mean, I guess I kind of probably figured it out at that point. And my aunt's like, the feds are coming, and as long as we're not there, we'll be fine. And literally, all the growers in the area met down at the beach, popped open some coolers, and had a little, like, what they call a Humboldt happening.
I thought you were going to tell the deer story, the rose story.
That would have been a better story.
But anyway,
So that was the only encounter that I had with the feds. So it was the only time that lifestyle seemed dangerous to me. As I came back in the ensuing summers, most of my time was spent like hiking and camping and living off the land, and coming from the suburban life that we live. I idealized this life. Like my cousins, I put those in quotes because they aren't technically, but they were the kids of the man that my aunt had married. But they have a life where they're like 13 years old, and we're all sitting around eating dinner, and they would go and grab a fishing pole and a rifle, and they would walk out the door, and they would be like, "See you in a couple days." And this was ridiculous to me. They could just go and survive and find food and sleep somehow out in the woods. They called me sidewalk boy, derisively. So I thought that was way more interesting and self-sufficient of a life than what I had, where I'm very reliant on many other things and other people. So I really did idealize this place, not to mention the ridiculous beauty of Northern California.